A field of 95 came and has since been whittled down to 32. And just moments before the top of the hour, it is almost time. It is race day at the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park, and all of us at Windshield Deep welcome you to coverage of the inaugural Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic presented by Dave's Truck Parts, as we get set to rock and roll for 150 laps around the 4/10 mile virtual oval. Jacob Seelman joined by Blake McCandless and Sean Butler. And gentlemen, first off, I hope you got some sleep. Last night's preliminaries went late into the evening. We had chaos, we had confusion. At the end of it all, we have 32 drivers all chasing after one goal. That is a victory. That is a very unique trophy. That is bragging rights over, Blake, what I'll call one of the most stacked short track fields that the iRacing service has seen all year long.
No, you're right, Jacob. We have Coca-Cola Series stars. We have some of the best that have been in the short track game in iRacing for a long time, all the way since the beginning. So you're exactly right. The competition level in this field unmatched, as we cut about 2/3 of the field who tried to get into this race. We cut them out last night. Like you said, long night. Glad to be with you guys back here again. Did get some good sleep and ready to see what these guys are able to do for 150 laps here.
Sean Butler, I'll turn to you, and I noted that we had chaos and we had confusion. We had an LCQ, a last chance qualifier last night, that ended in such a way that situations were what they were, and has led to a slight expansion of this field. We're going to start 30, ended up with 2 promoters provisionals to give us a 32 car starting field for this one. A little late skirmish between Anthony Alfredo, Clay Jones, Keith Jeffrey. Those 3 ended up with a meeting with race control that went deep into the night, and as it turned out, and as Landon Huffman said on social media in the wee hours of this morning, the fairest way to do it, all 3 of those gentlemen, though they're going to have a long way to go, get their shot at the eThanksgiving Classic.
Yeah, that's good to see, honestly. I mean, it would have been a really big bummer depending on, what the ruling was if one of those guys were to miss the field given the circumstances. But I'm just glad they all got it resolved, no matter how long it took for them to kind of come to that conclusion and make that ruling. But all in all, it's going to be a great field. More cars, the better, in my opinion. All those guys very competitive, as we saw in the LCQs last night. And the LCQs were probably some of the longest 15-lap races you'll ever see on iRacing, but it was to determine who comes into this field, and I'm just personally glad all 3 of those guys really get their shot to make the field here. So it's going to be interesting to see what those added cars will do to the racing here today.
As we take a look now at where in the virtual world we are, zoom in over the top of Lucama, North Carolina, just outside of the suburb of Kenly, where you see Southern National Motorsports Park. 17 degrees of banking in the corners at 4/10 of a mile around this bull ring. Long straightaways, tight corners. Blake, I've heard some people equate it to a Martinsville Speedway, just a slightly shorter version. It is about a paperclip when you look at it from overhead, and that is going to make for some very, very close quarters racing.
It is, and we saw it a lot last night. Obviously, these guys are running right against each other, going to the bottom, sometimes later in the run on some later restarts, going towards the middle of the racetrack. But there is not a whole lot of room out here on this track. It's a premium, especially with how wide some of these super late models can be compared to a lot of the oval racing that these guys do, perhaps in the other areas of iRacing on the asphalt side of things. So makes for some really tight corners, and oh man, it just makes for some insane action like we saw last night. And excited to see, now that we have kind of everybody lined up, what we'll get here.
And we're going to go quickly through the starting grid as cars begin to roll off. It is Cody Kelly on the pole, picked up $100 last night. Parker Retzlaff joining him on the front row. Alex McCollum, Max Cookson, row 2. Andy Trupiano, Josh Berry, Brandon Wilkinson, Trayton Lapsovich. Zach Novak starts 9th. Donovan Strauss up there as well.
Brett Suggs in 11th, Corey Deucer 12th, Blake Reynolds in 13th, Chandler Parsons a roll off 14th, Grayson Ward 15th, Garrett Conrad 16th, Robert Arch 17th, J.R. Hager 18th, Landon Huffman 19th, and Dylan Stewart in 20th.
Brian Fallen 21st, Jackson Lewis, Ricky Harden, Mike Stoddard, Mitch Janowski, Casey Pierce, Jimmy Mullis, Josh Kosick, Sam King, Anthony Alfredo, Keith Jeffrey, and Clay Jones round out the field. And Jacob, I think we're getting ready to get this thing going.
That we are. It is just past the top of the hour, and the pace car heads for pit road. Green flag flies, and we are underway for the inaugural Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic. Side by side, they race through turns 1 and 2 for the first time. Nobody with the advantage, and already trouble in the back of the field. Caution going to wave on the opening lap of this one. Looks like maybe trouble for Chandler Parsons getting it kicked off.
And like we saw a couple of times last night off the launch, getting loose, kind of traveling down the banking here. And that's exactly what happened there for Chandler Parsons in that throwback. We'll take a look here at the restart. Going to get a little bit of a run, just get a little sideways with those cold tires, and it just was too much for Garrett Conrath to come to a stop in time. There you see the wiggle out of the 27, and just a slight tap there from Conrath was enough to send Chandler Parsons around for our first caution of the night. But we saw this plenty of times last night, and you got to think slicker track out here, much hotter than what we experienced last night. It was about a 67-degree track temperature last night. We're looking at about 115 for the drop of the green flag this afternoon.
Yeah, it's
Sean,
going to make things a lot more treacherous, I was going to say, Blake. And a good bit of a good break for Robert Arch there. Chandler just spun right in front of him. Robert was able to get on the brakes and avoid that. But yeah, as you said, I guess a harder track is going to make slicker conditions for these tires. It looks like Chandler just a little too ambitious on the gas there, able to get it looped around. But Jacob, it's going to be a condition we're fighting pretty much for the whole race here today. It's going to be hot out there on the track.
Oh, for sure. And I was going to ask you, Sean, is that a case maybe of drivers just on that initial start knowing what's ahead of them, maybe being a little over anxious?
I think so. I mean, you can't really fault Chandler. I mean, it's a big event. This is the main event here for the weekend. A lot of nerves, maybe very anxious to get this thing started. And like I said, just a little bit too hard on the gas to get that thing rolling. But hey, I mean, these guys are race car drivers. They want to be hard on the gas all the time. But not too much damage, it looks like, on the 27 of Parsons, so he's able to get that thing rolling. And as Blake said last night multiple times, aero, not too much of a factor here at Southern National, so he should be fine for the rest of this thing. Got to make sure he can come from the back safely if he wants to get into this into the top 5 here.
Field already doubled up, and it looks like we are going to get set for a restart with what will be 6 laps of 150 scored. Cody Kelly, Parker Retzlaff going to line up just the way they started. In fact, the entirety of the top 10 lines up just how they started. First 5 rows, back to the green flag, underway once again. Cody Kelly down to the inside. Retzlaff holds him down, pinches him as they work off turn 2.
But Cody Kelly going to use that preferred inside line here at the very get-go to poke his nose out front. Kelly will lead lap number 1, but they'll go side by side for second once again. Now Retzlaff on the top. He's having to defend for second over Alex McCollum.
Yeah, Retzlaff tried to get to the bottom of the racetrack, could not do it. McCollum stuck the nose in there, and he will be all the way alongside as they complete 8 laps now. Back to the inside, leaning on one another just a little bit as McCollum forces that 42 up the racetrack. McCollum really hip checks him now in turn 3 to take the spot, Sean Butler.
Into turn number 1, Alex McCullum, one of the most accomplished super late model drivers on the service, finally gets by Parker Retzlaff. But it's looking a lot calmer on the racetrack than it was last night. You got to go all the way back to Corey Deucer back here in the 14 car, the 32 of Trayton Lapsevich, and Zach Novak in the 90. These guys fighting for the 8th position. But Blake, as I mentioned earlier, a lot calmer this go around than we saw last night.
No, it certainly is, and I think that's what the drivers recognize. You have a long race in front of you, 150 laps, a lot longer than the 15-lap, 25-lap sprints, Jacob, that we had to deal with last night.
That it is, and that battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th is not quitting. You can see it just ahead of the driver we ride on board with, Donovan Strauss, who sits in the 13th position trying to look ahead and go to work on Grayson Ward. That's a battle for position, but Zach Novak has that 8th position. They've gone single file for the moment, but Trayton Lapsevich was not wanting to give it away so easily. He was still pressuring Corey Deucer for just a moment. Now, though, everybody starts to settle out single file, at least for the moment. Back at the fringes of the top 20. On board with the driver, Landon Huffman, who's working his way forward. He goes to the inside of Jackson Lewis as the second caution of the eThanksgiving Classic. Waves Brian Fallon, it appears, maybe at the center of a storm that puts us under yellow and slows the pace with 15 laps complete.
Yeah, these replays, it looks like we're going to get a view of him getting a little bit of help from the 20 of Mike Stoddard here as they head through turn 2. You see he just gets barely on the left rear quarter panel of the number 18 of Brian Fallon, and that just got the two cars tangled up. Doesn't really look like any big damage was done. Both the guys were able to get those cars rolling, but it's a really fine line here. I was watching practice, and it looks like you might be able to bump these guys out of the way if you hit them square in the rear, but Blake, is notoriously as it is in iRacing, if you barely get into the quarter panels on any car, really, you might be sending them around.
You're exactly right, and I think it goes to show perfectly how you can get in, or where that bump and run could be successfully completed. As I think it was at the end of our first last chance qualifier that we had that battle, if you can remember, for that last transfer going into turns 3 and 4 on the final lap. It was Brad Wright who got shoved out of the way and ended up missing the event. It was Sam King, I believe, who kind of gave him that bump and run. So if you time it well, it's definitely possible, but I think on corner exit, you're asking for a lot, especially center of the corner, and get these cars out of shape.
Want to make a note here as we work under the second caution of the eThanksgiving Classic. Have multiple lap awards up today. In fact, 9 of them overall, including a $50 halfway leader bonus for Lee Falk Racing. We've already passed lap 13, a $10 lap leader award from Blue Line Deli. Working lap number 19 right now, a $20 reward from Short Track Race Razzles. Cody Kelly has led them all so far, all 18 laps that we've completed, and he'll lead lap 19 under the yellow flag. So Sean Butler, if you're Cody Kelly, that pole position's paid you $100 before we ever started this race. It's now paid him about 30 more here in the first 19 laps of this one.
Yeah, it's good for Cody. Early on in this thing, he's already in the profit margin for this, so he's having a great showing already. And I talked about it earlier in qualifying yesterday. He's probably one of the biggest dark horses in this race, but you look out for him to be up front early and often, and maybe even get a chance to win this thing. So he should be fast all day long.
I love how we're calling the pole sitter a dark horse. That just doesn't compute in my head. Right now, pace car heads back to pit road. Green flag back in the air, little slow on the start for Parker Retzlaff. He'll fall back, open the door maybe for Max Cookson. Up the outside, Retzlaff now going to work on Alex McCollum, trying to repay the favor. Side by side for second. They race behind the leader, Cody Kelly, and Retzlaff gets the spot back off 4.
And Retzlaff able to clear there from McCollum, who in turn will also find his way to the bottom of the racetrack to protect that position. Max Cookson, they sorted out for about the first 5 or 6 spots. They've all found it single file. One car stuck on the outside, though. That is Zach Novak all the way back in the 8th position.
Novak falling back, started 9th, so he's actually +1 compared to where he began this race, but really struggling now. Trayton Lapsevich going to work, the young Canadian, inside the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. Lapsevich to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to bring Grayson Ward with him off the corner.
It's looking like Novak is probably going to try to fall in line, but he's got the 9 of Grayson Ward just to his quarter panel, not quite clear. Now he's going to get clear. So Novak is going to be relegated to the 10th position, and everyone pretty much single file now for the most part. You got to go back to the battle a little bit further back between Jimmy Mullis and Blake Reynolds, 2 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers going at it, and Reynolds maybe look like he's trying to save tires a bit if he keeps dropping back, but he finds his way in line in front of Mitch Janowski.
Lap 25 going up on the board a moment ago with a $25 bonus from Speed Nut Apparel to the driver of the 175 who leads it. As Sean Butler said, however, third caution of this race waving. Sean, you had eyes on it.
Yeah, it looks like Robert Arch and Anthony Alfredo got a little bit too close, as well as the 88 of Keith Jeffrey. So pretty much synchronized spinning going on in turns 1 and 2. It looks like the 18 of Casey Pierce accidentally sent Jeffrey around, and Alfredo couldn't really get checked up for Robert Arch in time and sent him around as well. So not very many cars involved, not too much damage on either of those machines. They should keep it going, but man, these wrecks are pretty much night and day from last night. We're getting some racing in finally, and just a couple of cars for each wreck, but still fairly clean so far to start for the first 28 laps.
3 cautions, 28 laps in. I would gander a guess, Blake, that it's probably a lot better than some of these guys expected after last night, and it's not too bad, just a little early beating and banging on a short track bull ring.
No, absolutely not. And you just got to think about the long game here. There are no sets of tires sitting on pit road for these drivers. So the tires that they start on, well, they'll have to finish on them too. So you imagine there's probably a bit of an effort to be a little conservative early on in the going. Don't imagine that too many of these drivers want to wear out those tires that they have before we even get close to the halfway marker in this race. But I think you're right. This is just part of the fact that, you know, there were 95 guys to try to get into this race. We got 32 of the best already out here. So you'd think naturally because of that we may not see quite as many wrecks as we saw last night. But again, as it starts to get later and later in the race, the patience meter is going to start wearing thin.
That it will. 30 laps go on the board, and Cody Kelly has led them all. Going to complete 31 when we come back to the green flag. 3 cautions early in the Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Green flag back in the air. We continue once again, almost a dead heat at the start-finish line. Cody Kelly remains out front. Parker Retzlaff trying to hang tough on that outside lane, Sean. I don't think it's going to work, though. That bottom short way around just too strong.
Yes, definitely Cody Kelly still with the edge on the bottom. He should be clearing Parker off of turn 2. He does. So first 4 single file. I got to go back to Andy Trupiano in the 07 and Josh Berry in the 008 right there, currently fighting for the 5th position. So as you mentioned, Jacob, the low line dominant so far. So we'll see if that changes as this race goes on.
And it's an interesting point as the race goes on. We talked about it some, Blake, last night in some of the preliminaries, that once these tires get a couple of heat cycles on them, that middle to outside groove gets better and better, and I can't help but think we may see some of that today.
Well, and I think with that, not only do you have those heat cycles working, but with a hotter track temperature, you think, what's the one way that you want the middle groove to work is for that guy on the bottom to get a little bit loose into the corner. We're running already, even now, about 118 degrees on the track temperature, which is about 52 degrees higher than it was last night. So you'd have to think, oh, big wreck here in 3 and 4, 2 cars parked against the wall.
And that's going to bring out caution number 4 at the end of lap 36. Yellow flag for some carnage. Donnie Strauss involved in this. The young Georgia driver in the 51 with some front end damage. We'll get a replay momentarily to see exactly what happened. Side by side, Strauss on the outside, and looks like it's going to develop here going down into turn number 1, 2, 3, 4 cars under a blanket. Still waiting on it. We may get the whole lap, and there's the no, Strauss got hooked. It was contact from underneath him that ultimately got Donovan Strauss collected there. That was the 27 of Chandler Parsons, sorry, not Chandler Parsons, Sam King in the 27 that ultimately, Sean, that was collateral damage if you're the 51 of Donovan Strauss.
It definitely looks like it. I might think this might be on the 40 of Jimmy Mullis. It looked like a little bit of rear contact between he and the 75 of Landon Huffman kind of caused all that. That kind of hooked Landon down into the 27 of Sam King, and then, as you said, collateral damage. Donnie Strauss, nothing much he can do. So those of you who didn't join us last night, if you were deemed the cause of an accident in this point, at any point of the race, you will be sent to the back of the field by the officials in this race. So if I had to put that one on it, it might be on the 40 of Jimmy Mullis. We got to see and wait for the official scoring, but a lot of casualties in that wreck, and look for the 40 to be sent to the back here momentarily.
We'll wait and see exactly what the call is from race control in just a couple of moments. We are now for almost 1/3 distance, Blake, already. This one's good. You know, we talked about it, that this would probably go relatively quickly, and right at about the 1/3 mark of this race with 40 laps. 40 laps complete. Cody Kelly has led them all to this point, and maybe aided a little bit by a couple of these caution flags.
I think so. And anytime that you're the leader here, we saw it last night at any of these races where you have kind of a string of yellow flags, the launch you're able to get off these restarts is just so significant that if you are Cody Kelly, I'm sure you want to see this run out green and perhaps be able to stretch out your lead, as we'll see the lights go back atop the pace car. Will at least go one more trip around while they try to settle things out. But I think if you're Kelly, I don't think there's anywhere that you could go wrong with this. I think the consecutive yellow flags will actually help Kelly kind of get out there a little bit.
I tend to agree with that, Sean. As we get everybody doubled up, we should be a lap or so away from the green flag. Lights are out atop the pace car as we get set to return to action here. So it'll be 43 laps complete as Cody Kelly, Parker Retzlaff prepare to return. It's the Derek Peoples Motorsports restart zone back underway with still 107 laps to go in this race. Advantage again. The pole sitter Cody Kelly. Retzlaff wants the lead. He works to the inside. No dice there. They're wheel to wheel for about third and fifth behind them.
And Cody Kelly is going to lock himself up $44 additional for leading lap 44 here. So he just keeps on piling the money. Good to see for that. So pretty much single file for the first 6 positions as Josh Berry gets tagged.
Josh Berry. He does. He goes around off the exit of the corner, and that should bring out, it does, the 5th caution flag of the eThanksgiving Classic, and you saw it all develop right there. Josh Berry hit from behind, goes around. I don't see any visible damage to the 008, but the junior motorsports driver, that is not what he wanted to see. We'll get a look at it right here. That was the 56, I think, of Brandon Wilkinson. Just got right into the back of him, and around goes Berry off the exit of turn number 4.
And a bad break there for Josh Berry, and I don't think there's really any intent here for Wilkinson. You can see they're all in a line, just going through 3 and 4, gets a little side contact, and my goodness, the margin for error here at Southern National Motorsports Park is so thin, because I don't think that was any intent there, Jacob, on Wilkinson trying to make up a spot. He's just simply running his line through the corner, and the checkups here just happen so fast. You have to react to them so quickly. Unfortunately, Wilkinson's not able to do that. We actually had one car have to go through the backstretch entrance to pit road. It was Sam King just before that accident happened with Josh Berry, as he had to use the backstretch pit road to save the race car. And if anything, he may have gotten saved from perhaps being involved and getting tagged along in that incident off of 4.
Very possible. I want to give a shout out, by the way. We mentioned the $44 bonus for the lap 44 leader, which they've all been racked up by Cody Kelly to this point. But thank you to Newsom Family Racing for putting up lap money on lap 44 this evening. We're going to work lap number 50 here this time around, which is a $25 bonus from Speed Nut Apparel, the 5th of our 9 lap leader awards today. Next one will come up courtesy of Jonathan Cadell here in about 19 laps or so, but I'm trying to do some quick math, Sean Butler, in my head, and that is about a little over $100. So just by leading the first 50 laps of this eThanksgiving Classic, Cody Kelly is going to have racked up more money than he would than he did for earning the pole.
Yeah, I'm showing Cody Kelly is at a cool $199 just for getting the pole and running some laps around this track today. So not a bad showing for him. We're going to see if he can keep racking it up, but the big money is, of course, the win at the end. So we're going to see what he can do as field enters the DPM restart zone. Pace car ducks off. We're racing here again, Jacob.
That we are. Restart at lap number 51 as guys trying to fight from the back, guys trying to fight at the head of the field. Alex McCollum looks to the inside. Max Cookson in the battle for third. Cookson now going to go after Parker Retzlaff, who's still hanging tough on that outside lane, side by side for the race lead in turn 1.
And I'll tell you what, Retzlaff able to keep up, but just that bottom line early on is just so strong. Retzlaff put up a good effort, but he's going to have to fall back in line, back into the second position as
big wreck.
Huge, yeah, one car flipped up and over here in 3 and 4 as they have come to a dead stop here in 3 and 4. I believe it was Donovan Strauss who may have been the car that was barrel rolling here through 3 and 4, but another about 5 or 6 car accident here in the back of the field.
unfortunate. We'll get a look at it on the instant replay here following Donovan Strauss, and I think we're going to get the lap leading up to the chaos in turn number 3. This is going down to turn 1. There's contact that got everybody sideways. I think that's the 88 of Keith Jeffrey, and you see it stack up Strauss really with nowhere to go, and up and on the side and upside down, and that was what we called in the sprint car world a Tommy tip over. It wasn't hard, it wasn't crazy, Blake, just enough to get him upside down, and luckily able to drive away, got that car back on all 4 wheels. We'll get a look on board here from Robert Arch at what he saw. Arch was upside down last night in the preliminaries and had a really good view there of the 51 of Strauss going end over end.
He does, but the one thing about this accident, you obviously see Strauss is the one that initiates the contact. Look at what Mike Stoddard does here. Stoddard realizes, I'm 4 wide, I'm going to back out of it, and I think Strauss just wasn't anticipating the large checkup there for the driver of the 20, who, again, is just recognizing that we're just past the 3rd wave mark in this race. We'll get it on board from Strauss. Of course, he was sent to the back because of the previous accident. You can see 4 wide in front of him. He's just running his line, and just all out of nowhere, the 20 just puts on the binders, and unfortunately Strauss at that point just along for the ride.
58 laps complete in the Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic presented by Dave's Truck Parts, and they have all been led by Cody Kelly to this point. The pole man has dominated this one. He picked up $100 for winning the pole. He has now picked up a grand total of $124 in lap money and counting as we go back to green, working lap number 59. It's Kelly, it's Retzlaff, it's Cookson, it's McCollum, the front 4 positions.
Front 4 for Retzlaff, who is looking. He poked his nose to the inside for just a moment on Cody Kelly, and I'll tell you what, he's keeping up with him pretty well here, not allowing him to get away. All over the back bumper is Retzlaff over Cody Kelly.
Retzlaff delivered the shot to the back end. I think he's tired of running second. He wants the race lead as we work lap 61. Retzlaff chasing Cody Kelly, not wanting to give it up. One car very slow to the apron of the racetrack, going to make it to the pit lane. 61 laps up on the board. Battle for the lead, separated by a car length in 1 and 2.
Cody Kelly looked like he got a little bit too high a couple laps ago off 3 and 4, and Parker had the chance to look under him, wasn't quite able to get there. But this is going to be a game of who can manage these tires the best. We still have quite a bit of time left to go in this race. Front, about a 9 or 10 single file. I got to go back to Brett Suggs, and the guy you're on board with, number 33. That is Brett Suggs you're on board with, actually, as he's looking down to Garrett Conrad. This is the battle for 9th, as it looks like Conrad has the spot, but here comes Jackson Lewis to the inside.
Jackson Lewis looks low. That was Conrad taking the spot. Jackson Lewis wants to drop Brett Suggs back. Another one, and Will Suggs gets rooted up out of the bottom of the racetrack. That's Zach Novak to the inside in the battle now for the 11th position. The JDR Graphics Toyota works down low. Novak wants the position. They race side by side down into the corner. Blake Novak squeezes that 33 up, and this is the hard part at Southern National. On board with Landon Huffman, you're going to see it out of Brett Suggs. Once you get moved out of that bottom lane, it is hard to find a way back to the inside.
You're exactly right, and Suggs has been having to work through this for about the last 10 laps, and he continues to fall further and further back, but that long line of cars behind him, they don't want to let him down, and he'll get another shot, this time from Blake Reynolds, who tried to shut the door on him now. So Suggs still up here on the outside line, and they all run single file. There is nowhere for Brett Suggs to go as he continues to fall on back.
Suggs was 9th before he got clotheslined on the outside lane. He has dropped back to 14th and may fall back further. No, he has finally found a hole to the inside of the racetrack to be able to fall in here. So the 33 sits right there in 14th position now, as Cody Kelly about to bank another $20. This will put him up to 144 in lap money today. Lap 69 presented by Steel Horse Live, courtesy of Jonathan Cadell. So more money in the pocket of the pole sitter Cody Kelly as we approach halfway, coming up about 5 laps from now. And dare I say it, we have finally settled into a little bit of a green flag rhythm here, Sean.
It does. I mean, Cody Kelly's still pulling away from Parker Retzlaff, so unless we have another caution, he's got that 75 lap award presented by Lee Falk Racing down pat. So a big payday for Cody Kelly. We look on board now with Jackson Lewis, right now currently sitting in the 10th position, looking ahead to Garrett Conrath. And Blake, like we say, complete opposite from last night. We saw guys all over each other, wrecking constantly, but now it looks like everything's finally gotten settled in, as Jacob mentioned.
No, it has, and I think this is where you're going to see the long-run mentality come in for some of these drivers, because obviously Kelly is continuing to stretch out his lead over Parker Retzlaff about 9/10, nearly up to about a second here as they cross the stripe for lap number 73. But this is going to be where it's really interesting. Do you think you can get a caution flag, save a little bit of tire here, and then once you get to that restart, you'll be all bunched back up again? This is where a lot of those decisions are going to have to be made by these guys, who again are going to run on the same set of tires from now until we see the checkered flag in this one a little later on.
That it is. We're coming to the halfway point of this race, which the halfway lap bonus going to be brought to you by Lee Falk Racing. It will be a $50 bonus. It will go the way of the pole sitter, Cody Kelly, who has led from the drop of the green flag. And as we cross the halfway point of this race, we'll take a midway race break and run you through the field. It is Cody Kelly out in front right now by about 1 second over Parker Retzlaff. Max Cookson rides in the 3rd spot. Alex McCollum is 4th. Grayson Ward 5th. J.R. Hager has come from 18th to the 6th spot. Andy Trupiano rides 7th. 8th to Corey Deuser. 9th, Garrett Conrath. And 22nd to 10th for the 77, Blake Jackson Lewis.
Lewis up to 10th. Zach Novak close in tow. He runs in the 11th position. Landon Huffman has worked his way up to 12th. Blake Reynolds rides along in 13th. Brett Suggs is in 14th. Mitchell Dranowski back from 25th. He runs in the 15th position. Brian Fallon runs in 16th. Jimmy Molas is in 17th. And Anthony Alfredo started at the tail end of the field, is up in the top 20. He's in 18th. Trayton Lapsovich runs in 19th. And Sam King rounds out the top 20.
Looking a little further back here, Chandler Parsons, good recovery so far after that early incident. He's back in 21st. Clay Jones in 22nd. Keith Jeffrey, 23rd. Ricky Harden in 24th. Josh Berry again involved in some trouble early, 25th. Robert Arch, 26th. Brandon Wilkinson, 27th. Casey Pierce, 28th. Donovan Strauss, 29th. Daniel Stewart is being shown in 30th. Josh Kosick, 31st. And rounding out the field right now is the 20 of Mike Stoddard.
Oh, in trouble for Parker Retzlaff, who was running in 2nd as he gets tangled with a lap car here on the front straightaway. It was he and Daniel Stewart who made contact. And Retzlaff, I don't know if he's going to lose any positions out of it, but he got Daniel Stewart all jacked up on the wall as they were entering turn 1.
68 laps to go as the caution flag waves. You'll get to see it right here. Retzlaff to the bottom. I just don't think he expected Stewart to be there, and Stewart right in the wall all the way through turn 1, almost to the midpoint of turns 1 and 2, puts us under the caution for the 7th time in the eThanksgiving Classic here, as we'll get a look at it from on board. And it was a wild ride, and that is a shot from the gyro cam that you never want to see, especially if you're Daniel Lewis. So an unfortunate break there, as Lewis was kind of minding his own business, or Daniel Stewart rather, sorry about that. Daniel Stewart, the lap car, riding in the 30th position. So Stewart, Blake, that's a ride that you never want to be on if you're a driver, whether real world or virtual world. And for Daniel Stewart, he'll see if he can't continue, but I imagine there has to be some damage to that car.
Absolutely, and you know, it's really tough right there, because obviously Retzlaff trying to get everything he can, trying not to get slowed up by the lap traffic and take his regular line onto the front straightaway, try to arc it into 1 and 2 like he has the whole evening. I think it's one of those kind of miscommunication situations. Obviously there's nothing Stewart could have done. He's out here racing just like everybody, and you know, giving a little courtesy to the leaders, allowing them to go by on the inside. But I think Retzlaff was just thinking that by the time they started to enter the corner or on the straightaway, that Stewart would give way to Retzlaff, while he was just sitting there riding along on the high side and just going to let Retzlaff go in the corner. So just a bit of a miscommunication there. It doesn't seem it's going to hurt the 42 at all. Perhaps a little bit of damage on that Toyota Camry, but nothing that's going to slow it up too drastically. So if anything, this will bunch them back up and allow Retzlaff to challenge for the lead once again.
Field is double filed. We're going to come back to the restart with 87 laps complete. It'll be 63 laps to go. I don't see any damage to the right side of Retzlaff's car, nothing that would affect it in any major way. As we go back under the green flag, starting lap 88, it's again Cody Kelly away to the lead. I know we're a little far out yet from being able to talk about wire to wire, but Kelly has done an impressive job so far. He'll have pressure from Parker Retzlaff, though the first time all day, I think we can say that Retzlaff wants the lead in turn one.
And he tried to get it as he poked his nose to the bottom as they entered one, but shutting the door was Cody Kelly. We heard that it could be pretty difficult to try and pass right here, but there you see the drive off. Cody Kelly, they're both on the inside and still able to extend his advantage, but not by much.
Cody Kelly has been very good at saving his tires throughout the whole Windshield Deep season. A little different in these cars, but we're going to see how he does with the pressure Parker Retzlaff is applying. Doesn't look like that right front damage is affecting the 42 too much as he gets right to the rear bumper off of turn number 2. And this might be the time where Parker Retzlaff might look to apply the bumper to get Cody out of the groove and put that 42 in the lead.
I'm going to say it's a little early to be applying the bumper for the race lead. I think if you're going to play that game, you better be prepared to get it back a time or two before the checkered flag. 91 laps on the board, working 92. Cody Kelly still the leader. Looking back further through the field, Jimmy Mullis has done a nice job coming through in that 40 car. He has worked his way from 27th up to the 15th position in the middle of a hornet's nest right now. He's to the inside of Brett Suggs. That's a battle for position. Mullis looking to hold on to that 15th position, and there's Trayton Lapsovich with a bump, a shot to the back of the Toyota.
We've seen that a couple of times, and now we have trouble in, believe, in 3 and 4. And exactly right, Anthony Alfredo looks like he may have been involved in this one. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt there, Blake. I was looking at the replay there, and Alfredo, we're going to see on this replay, just takes an unusual line going into turn number 3 here, and he I guess just misses the bottom, but this looks like it started off of turn number 2 here. Watch the 18 of Brian Fallon just above Alfredo here. He gets a little bit towards the wall, similar to what we saw with Parker in that last wreck, and Anthony just gets into him and then gets low to the corner and just goes right into the 18 and spins himself out, Blake. So I'm not sure who you would put that on, but I think I might put that on the 2 machine there if I were the official.
I think you have to, Sean. He just charged the corner, washed up the racetrack, and it didn't work. We'll get one more look on board here with Keith Jeffrey, but just like you said, a very odd crash. Unfortunate to see for Anthony Alfredo. Everybody stacks up and just kind of everybody scatters back in the field. Under caution with 55 laps to go. We're going to take a moment to go side by side. We'll be back in just a couple of moments here. It's the running of the Windshield Deep, Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic from Southern National Motorsports Park. If you're just joining us, it's been a little bit crazy. Welcome back to the Windshield Deep, Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic, presented by Dave's Truck Parts from Southern National Motorsports Park. Jacob Seelman, Blake McCandless, Sean Butler on the call with you as we get set for a restart. 8 cautions so far in this one, gentlemen. Blake, as the field starts to double up, Cody Kelly, Parker Retzlaff, they've been 1-2 since the drop of the green flag. Can they stay that way?
Well, that's the one thing I'm looking for, Jacob, is to see, does Retzlaff have a little bit of better tire than Cody Kelly? We'll have to see on this restart what they do, and they are nearly dead even as they're going to head into 1 and 2. Great jump there for the 42.
How about Parker Retzlaff staying as close to Cody Kelly as we've seen, but he swings wide, almost gets into the outside wall as they work lap number 100. That gives advantage. Cody Kelly, they make contact off turn 4. Kelly somehow gets away with it, and that's brought Alex McCollum right into this mix.
And Cody Kelly secures another $25 courtesy of Speed Nut Apparel, so he's taken all the money in the race so far. So front about 6 are single file, got to go back to now the front 8 are single file, back to the 9 and the 14 of Garrett Conrath and Corey Deucer fighting it out for that 9th position. and these guys are still all over each other as the battle ahead of them forms. It's between J.R. Hager and, of course, Andy Trupiano.
It's a wild, wild west at the front of the field. There is Andy Trupiano working to the inside. Little bit of contact. It's getting dicey. There's a little bit more contact. It's inside 50 to go, Blake. It's go time for every position you can get.
You're exactly right, and that causes a checkup behind them as Corey Deucer, who has quietly started to make his way forward. You see a little bit of damage on the nose of his Mustang, but he has slowly but surely worked his way up through the front of the field as he now rides in the 8th position. And again, in that preferred bottom groove, contact behind them as Garrett Conrath gets shuffled up with Zach Novak.
Novak is back there. He's got Conrath to the outside. That was 9th and 10th. They're going at it, but the battle for the lead starting to close up again with 44 laps to go when they get back to the stripe. It's Cody Kelly, it's Parker Retzlaff. They're separated by a car length, make it 2 off turn 4.
Looking like Alex McCollum starting to reel these guys in a little bit. It might play a factor here with the lap car of Trayton Lapsevich in the 32, just in these guys' windshield as we're looking on board for the number 1 of Alex McCollum. The 42 and the 175 looking bigger and bigger in his windshield, but it's still Cody Kelly pacing the field off of 2.
Can he go wire to wire? We have to start wondering about it with 42 laps to go. This time by, Blake, this has been a master class by Cody Kelly at the front of the field.
It so far has, but I'm telling you what, Parker Retzlaff is looking awfully sporty behind them. Ran him down by about 200ths of a second that last time, and the rotation that 42 car is getting through the center of the corner. I don't think it's going to be too much longer before we're talking about a battle for the lead potentially between Kelly Retzlaff and don't forget about Alex McCollum, who's lying in the wake as well.
Alex McCollum may be waiting for these two to get into it and try to pounce and pass both of them. Sometimes third is the best place to be late in a short track showdown like this one, Sean Butler, and McCollum has just quietly laid in wait this entire race.
Of course, hopefully that patience pays off for him as well. I've been in a position similar to that where the 2 leaders fight it out too hard on the last lap and wreck each other, and I come away with the win. So, like you said, you never know with these short tracks what is going to unfold, especially later on in the race. As looking on board from the lap car of Trayton Lapsevich back to our leader, Cody Kelly. Everything looking to be kind of single file now. Everyone's calmed down, but that can only get more intense as the latter part of this race goes on as Kelly works his way around Lapsevich.
And Lapsevich, the very respectful move. He's spent time in the APC Late Model Series. He knows he doesn't want to affect this battle for the race win. And I'm surprised, honestly, to see Trayton Lapsevich go a lap down here, Blake. I really think we expected him to be more of a factor in this one.
Well, he gets out of the way for the leader, and he caused Parker Retzlaff to have to run the high side, so that'll cost Rhett, the 42, a little bit of time. But you're exactly right. At the top of the broadcast last night, he was somebody that Tab could be a favorite to win this thing, but it looks like just too much damage right now on that 32 machine to be awfully or too competitive, rather, as he goes a lap down.
So 35 to go. This race, Sean, am I the only one that feels like this race, even with the cautions that we've had, has kind of flown by a little bit? I mean, it feels weird to say that we're coming down close to 30 to go.
Well, I mean, compared to last night, I mean, any race that goes this quick seems to fly by. I think we might have to run another one after this to kind of make up for that time we're used to. But great job by these guys to keep it a lot cleaner than yesterday. I think we got most of our bad wrecks out of the way. So very clean racing, especially for the lap cars as well. But everyone appears to be single filed now for the most part. I'm looking around on the track, and the only battle I'm really seeing is between the 27 of Chandler Parsons and the 18 of Brian Fallon. So a little pack there, but yeah, very clean racing so far, but that's definitely going to change in the latter part of this thing.
Working lap 119, closing up on 30 to go. More lap traffic ahead of your leader, Cody Kelly. The next lap bonus on lap 125, another $25 bonus. So he'll try and sweep the day, take home all the cash, Blake McCandless, but Parker Retzlaff just 5 car lengths back.
And what a payday it would be for Cody Kelly, right? Just get to come out here, run 150 laps on a short track and rake in all that cash that everybody was thinking was kind of going to be available for everybody. But if you come out and dominate like Cody Kelly has here today, as caution flag is out, one car, I believe it was Robert Arch, is spun off the exit of the corner, and indeed he is.
Caution flag number 9 in the eThanksgiving Classic. Robert Arch going around off the exit of turn 4. We'll give you the whole lap leading up to it. There he is working to the inside, trying to get to the 15. I believe that's Clay Jones as he works down low. Oh, he got into Jones, who, when the car fishtailed, it just got into Arch and sent Arch spinning to a stop right there off the exit of turn number 4. On board with Donovan Strauss, you'll get one more look at it.
It's looking like it's a little bit ahead of him, Jacob. I think that's the 15 of Ricky Harden right there as he gets just a little too hard into the corner, and so does Arch, and Arch has to check up for Harden checking up, and that's one of those accordion effect wrecks I see when the 15 of Harden just kind of whips around and takes out the 88. So one of the more bizarre wrecks we've seen, but again, just another one-car incident.
So that'll put us with about a 25-lap showdown to the finish at Southern National Motorsports Park. Blake, that's what we call a good old Sunday afternoon short track shootout, isn't it?
It certainly is, and it's going to be interesting to see now with, you know, we've talked about saving tires and having to be a little bit conservative, but I think at this point, the restarts you get as the leader are so important that Retzlaff is going to throw it all on the line to try and not only get the race lead to have control of it, but to get control of these late restarts. I don't think you want Cody Kelly to be restarting up front anymore, so look for Retzlaff, McCollum. If they've been saving their tires, this is the time for them to use those tires for their own good, and I think you're going to see that the 42, the 1, the 39, all those guys that have been up in the top 4 all afternoon, they are going to push hard here until we see the checkered flag.
Lights are out. It's going to be a 24-lap dash, just less than what you would see out of a normal Saturday night short track feature for some of the divisions at a track like Southern National. The Derek Peoples Motorsports restart cam, green flag, back in the air. Here comes Alex McCollum to the inside of Parker Retzlaff for second, but it's all Cody Kelly out front. Retzlaff to the bottom. Retzlaff wants the lead, but Retzlaff trying to play defense now from McCollum off 4.
And this is going to be the struggle for Retzlaff, is having to battle off McCollum for third, but he's going to be given a mulligan as there's a caution out once again. Believe it was Clay Jones who may have gotten the raw end of this deal. This was about, he was running in about the 22nd position, and it looks like he may have gotten some help from Ricky Harden once again involved in this one. Look at the 15 on your screen, a couple of car lengths back. I think a little bit of contact, yep, right there. And that's going to send Clay Jones into the wall.
Clay Jones into the wall, brings the yellow flag out, and one of those where you just kind of sit back and look, and that's a scramble over space, Sean Butler. That's no more than we're getting down to the closing laps of a race and everybody's going for the same piece of real estate.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to see a lot of 3-wide racing here. I think these guys can make it work compared to last night, but 2-wide action here, as Blake said, it just looks like Ricky Harden got into the corner a little too deep and sent the 115 around. Josh Kosick in the 44 looks like he was involved in that as he gets turned by the 20 of Mike Stoddard into the pit lane. So if one thing happens in front of everybody, you got to think there's going to be a reaction behind them, and just 2 separate wrecks happening, all trying to avoid and go for the same real estate at the same time.
So under caution now, 20 laps to go. It'll be 19 to go when they get back to the line. I mean, I feel like last restart it was go time, Blake. This time it's really go time. It has to be.
Well, it's going to be for every restart from here on out, because we might get a couple more. And you see what happened there. Retzlaff got a pretty good restart, decided to give up the top to try and go to the bottom and make the crossover move on Kelly, but there was Alex McCollum waiting in the wings to try and get his way up into second. So that's one thing that Retzlaff is going to have to balance when trying to make a move on Cody Kelly. He has McCollum, who I'm sure feels like he's got the tires to go up there and compete for the race win if he could potentially restart up there in the second position. So that's one of the things that Cody Kelly is going to want to see in his rearview mirror, is this 42, this 1, this 39 machine all battling each other so hard that he could just drive off into the sunset.
Perhaps, and you wonder if maybe McCollum sitting in third hasn't been able to save a little bit better than these 2 leaders who are right close together as we work into the DPM restart zone. Oh, Cody Kelly playing games with Parker Retzlaff as they come back to the green flag. And again, by an inch, Cody Kelly holds on at the front of the field. They're door-to-door off turn 2. Kelly to the inside, Retzlaff to the outside. They're leaning on each other in 3.
What a great restart there for Retzlaff, but you see the bottom starting to come in for Cody Kelly, but perhaps not just yet. Retzlaff still trying to hold on. Here comes Alex McCullum looking for second.
McCollum won second. Maybe he smells he can get more than that. Now Cody Kelly clears Parker Retzlaff. 15 laps to go in the eThanksgiving Classic, and caution flag waves for the 10th time.
We got a big wreck in turns 3 and 4 here. I'm looking around. It's looking like I see the 88 is involved, the 7 of Mitch Dranowski, the 56 of Brandon Wilkinson, and looking like a very similar accident to the previous one here, as there's a little bit of extracurricular activity after that, as we'll see on the replay here. So watch the 7 car. That is Mitch Dranowski looking to the outside of Josh Berry going into turn number 1. And the 88 car right behind them is going to come into play here. That is the 88 right there of Keith Jeffrey. Just tags him a little bit and gets sent around, and nowhere for Casey Pierce to go there as well as he gets involved in that. So the wreck's starting to pile up here as we get to the end where the big money is going to be earned here, fellas.
Double-digit cautions. However, it'll be single digits on the lap counter by the time we go back to green, as you get one more look at the contact that has us under caution once again at Southern National Motorsports Park. I'll ask the question now because I feel like it's time to make the choice of your top 3. Blake McCandless, who are you putting your money on?
I gotta say, I really like the jumps that Parker Retzlaff has been getting. He has to get clear of McCullum, but I'd say it, guys. I think the 42 has some better tires than what Cody Kelly's running on, so I think he can give him a run for his money.
Sean Butler, thoughts?
I would have to echo Blake's sentiments. Cody Kelly, though, is in the driver's seat with this. He's gotten some great restarts, but as Blake said, it's up to Parker to nail that restart so he can kind of pin Kelly down off the corner and maybe get that runoff to clear him. But he runs the risk of getting passed by McCullum here if he's not careful. So I think any one of these 3 guys here, even someone behind them as well, has a shot at taking this thing.
I'm going to go a different direction than both of you. I honestly think that this is setting up for these 2 to get together and open the door for somebody like Alex McCollum or even Max Cookson to be able to pounce and take charge. As we cross 10 to go, it'll be a 9-lap shootout. When we get the green flag, Cody Kelly, Parker Retzlaff, 1 and 2. Alex McCollum, Max Cookson, 3 and 4. Andy Trupiano, Grayson Ward, Zach Novak, Jackson Lewis. That's how the first 4 rows line up as the iRacing pace car heads to the pit lane. The DPM restart zone ready. Oh, contact already. I think Kelly tried to lag back and time the restart, and that stacked the entire field up.
It did, and Retzlaff tried to get perhaps a bit of an early jump there on the outside as he is not letting the 75 get all too clear. They nearly touch off the corner. 8 laps to go. Retzlaff and now McCullum into the picture.
McCollum to the inside, looking for the runner-up spot. That may allow Cody Kelly to get away. Oh, and Retzlaff spins. Retzlaff goes around now. More contact back in the field. One of the cars, I couldn't tell who it was that got spun behind, and one car upside down. I think that it was the 33 of Brett Suggs that got end over end off turn number 4. It all started when Parker Retzlaff got kicked sideways and spun off the exit of turn number 4, and that may set us up for overtime in the eThanksgiving Classic. Oh my.
Oh my goodness, a parking lot off of turn number 4, as the term is so coined so often, but it applies perfectly for this. Just wrecking everywhere happening. We need multiple looks at this. So going into turn number 3, just maybe a slight bit of contact between McCullum and Parker Retzlaff. That's going to send him around here. Tight racing here, and you got to think Parker's just going to be pinching every single bit of the way going into 3, and it looks like McCullum, just a little bit of contact there, sends him up the track, and everyone's scattering. Andy Trupiano gets sent around. You see Blake Reynolds there. There you see Brett going on his roof, and there's Anthony Alfredo as well. Just a massive accident with under 10 to go here at Southern National.
Well, well, well. So that changes the perspective of this one, doesn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, it certainly does. That really changes the picture there as Cody Kelly able to escape from that one. And man, just look at the wreck that ensues afterward. That's Suggs who was flipped over. Landon Huffman stuck into the entry to pit road right there. He's going to have to get the tow for that 75 machine that was running in about the 10th position. My goodness, these wrecks at the front, there's not a lot of room to go here at this racetrack if it happens. And oh boy, did it. But now we're setting ourselves up here just for a quick dash to the finish.
That it will be, and it is setting up for 2 to go in regulation, it appears. Dicey, green flag in the air as they work off turn 4, so a 2-lap shootout to end this. Cody Kelly, Alex McCollum, side by side. If McCollum's got anything left, he's got to show it here to come into the white flag. He'll try to slot in, maybe a last lap bump and run.
We'll see if he'll do it here in a 1 and 2. He's going to go ahead and give him the bumper in 1, but Kelly hanging strong. Now they're side by side down the backstretch.
Final time into turn 3. Alex McCollum to the low side. Cody Kelly to the outside. It's going to be a drag race right to the line. Contact. Wow. McCollum. Alex McCollum steals the win by 5/100ths of a second. He jacked him up into turn 1 at the white and steals the win. Leads 1 lap all race long. Get a look at it on the replay here. Off turn 4, banging doors. Kelly goes sideways, almost gets the fence. Now McCollum sideways, and just by that front bumper. Oh my goodness.
What an incredible finish here at Southern National. Alex McCollum, all he needed to do was lead 1 lap, and he got it done. Absolutely incredible. You can see it. You can see him setting it up going into turn number 1, and he gets Kelly just a little bit up the track in 3 and 4, gets to the inside, and just rubbing is racing, as it is said. And what a job by both drivers to fight to the very last second. But in the end, it's McCollum taking home the win. Absolutely incredible.
Wow. I don't quite know what to say. Blake, I really thought Cody Kelly was going to hang on, and Alex McCollum was absolutely not to be denied. He parks that number 1 in victory lane here at the 4/10 mile. What a performance.
You're exactly right, Jacob. And, you know, the one thing about McCollum, and this is something we've seen that's a lot different than a lot of these short track races, is usually it's going into 3 and 4 that you see that bump and run given and hopefully a dash to the line. But McCollum kind of moves a little early on it. He gives him the bumper in 1 and 2. That sets him up, gives him the inside here in 3 and 4. It looked like Kelly had it off the corner, but this is part of it. McCollum can kind of run up there, bang the door of the 75, and that was just enough to get him to the line. As you see him sliding across, as Kelly trying to hook him back to slow him down, and that's the margin of victory there. 5/100ths of a second as McCollum finds his way to victory lane. You don't have to love it, but that is just some good old short track racing right there.
Wow. I've said it a few times. I'll say it one more. What a fit. That's the kind of finish we waited a day and a half for right there. Cody Kelly, who led 149 laps, just misses out in the final 50 yards, and it does not get much better than that. As you get one more look at it, McCollum spins after the finish, but it didn't matter. He already had the payday at that point. As we take a look down the finishing order before we talk to our top runners, McCollum with the win, official margin of victory 5/100ths of a second. Cody Kelly second, Max Cooks and Grayson Ward and Zach Novak the top 5, Corey Deucer 6th, Jackson Lewis 22nd to 7th, 8th to JR Hager, Jimmy Mullis 27th to 9th, and unofficially, I believe, will be the hard charger, with Garrett Conrath completing the top 10, Blake.
And it'll be Sam King who brings it home in 11th. Josh Berry, early spinner, is able to recover for a 12th place finish. Brett Suggs in 13th. Trayden Lapsovich, who was a lap down at one point, ends up finishing in 14th. Ricky Harden brings it home 15th. Clay Jones in 16th. Chandler Parsons in 17th. Andy Trupiano in 18th. 19th to go to Parker Retzlaff, who ran pretty much in second, almost as long as Kelly led the race. And then Casey Pierce rounds out the top 20.
Rounding out the field here, Mitch Stranowski finishing 21st, Robert Arch 22nd. Tough break for Blake Reynolds. Got involved in that last caution. He will bring it home 23rd. Brandon Wilkinson 7th to 24th. So that might be an early candidate for the award that you don't want to get in this race, and that of course is the hard luck award for the 056. Donnie Strauss 10th to 25th. He will finish there. Brian Fallen 26th. Keith Jeffrey 27th, the final car on the lead lap. Mike Stoddard 28th, 5 laps down. Landon Huffman, tough break for him, 29th. Anthony Alfredo 30th. Josh Kosick 31st. And rounding out the field, Daniel Stewart 32nd, 40 laps down.
And we're going to now go to victory lane and bring in the driver who led only 1 lap, but it was the one that paid the big cash. Alex McCollum, first off, congratulations. Walk us through the race-winning move. I'll admit, I thought you had made it 2 corners too soon, but obviously it paid off on the other end of the racetrack.
Yeah, that race, we had a full of yellows. Surprised we made it on field. If we went green pretty much like 50 laps, we would all have pitted. I had about 1 gallon remaining, but I mean, a win's a win, but you can't pass at the track. The only way you're gonna get around somebody is if you move them, and it's for $600. And I didn't want to do it that way, but anybody would have done the same thing.
How tough was it to, I know you've mentioned it's so difficult to pass. Was that really a case of that for most of the race for you? Because it did look like you were having to exercise a lot of patience through the course of that one.
Yeah, I saved about pretty much for about, I'd say 100 laps, and then the yellow started falling into my hand, so I just played it how it came to me. So just want to say good job to Carity. He ran a heck of a race. I mean, anybody would have done the same thing. It's part of racing.
All right, so I think what everybody else wants to know, do you have any plans for the cash?
Probably put it to my real life car.
Fair enough, Alex. We'll give you that, and certainly wish you the best of luck on the real-life racing going forward. Sponsors, thank you. Shout-out. Who do you need to give a call to after what's going to be a big win and a pretty cool trophy, by the way, coming your way as well?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I just want to say a huge shout-out to 09 Motorsports. They're a really good group of guys to work with. We've been really good in the open stuff with the Supers. Getting ready for the Snowball Derby. So that should be fun. Actually have Snowball Derby tonight starting on the pole, so see if we can go back to back.
Trying to take home 2 crown jewel victories in the same day. Alex McCollum kicks it off with a win in the eThanksgiving Classic, the fixed Snowball Derby coming up later tonight, which he'll try to go 2 for 2 on the afternoon. He's the race winner, and we'll throw it down now to Blake McCandless, who is standing by with the driver who led 149 and lost it in the last few feet. I know, Blake, you're standing by with undoubtedly a disappointed Cody Kelly.
No doubt about it. I know the payday, you obviously have to be proud of that and the effort you put up, but just kind of walk us through that last lap. We know there was chaos. You had control of the restart, but, obviously walk us through that entire last lap and that battle you had with Alex.
Oh, yeah, I got a decent start, and he was on the outside. I pretty much knew I had him if he would have stayed out there on the outside. But I raced him clean. I didn't run up into him or nothing. Gave him plenty of room up there. Stayed in my lane, and then when he got behind me, he just ran over me. But it is what it is. I'll keep that in the memory bank. He didn't even give me a chance. He just ran over me right time he got to me. And then while I was on the outside of him in 3 and 4, gave him plenty of room again, and he just never lifted, coming off the corner and ran me up in the wall. But it was a good run. It was nice qualifying on pole last night, and I got $100 for that. Thank you to the Jiggers who donated that. Finishing second isn't bad, but I'll remember that.
Well, you sweep the lap leader award categories outside of lap 150. To know that you're going to take home not just $100 from that. At one point, you actually made more money in the race than you did for just winning that pole award. So, talk about maybe any plans to perhaps kind of use a little bit of that, because it was a really good payday for you.
Oh yeah, maybe if he has some more races, we'll use it for entry fees. but I just can't thank everybody that helped me out enough. It was a good race. I appreciate Windshield Deep putting it on. Hopefully they do some more. Appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate y'all doing the broadcast. Man, it was a really, really good broadcast. I enjoyed watching it.
Well, I was about to say, Cody, one final question before we let you get out of here is, Sean Butler, our companion up here in the booth, was kind of saying, even right before you laid down your lap last night in single car qualifying, that this could be somebody to watch, and no doubt about it, you went out, put the car on pole, and led all but the final lap here in this one. Is this a nice statement for you and for how dominant you were in this race?
Yeah, I was pretty proud of how everything went. I race a lot of short tracks on here, so I'm pretty good at these little short track fixed setup races. But yeah, I run Sarah a lot, and it's helped me out, and it's made me get really consistent and stuff. So, but yeah, it was a really good race.
All right, Cody, we'll flip the mic to you one more time. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to? This is your opportunity to do so.
I want to give a shout out to TP, Joe, Chalmers. They all were on the box today. Cam, Casey, Jim, all the association, and just want to thank y'all for doing the broadcast. It was a really good job.
All right, we appreciate that, Cody. Congratulations on your good day today. I know it's one spot short, but no doubt about it, people will remember who led and ran up front in this race, regardless of the final result. So congratulations to you on a solid run. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
That's Cody Kelly. He brings it home second. And Max Cookson was waiting to hope that something would happen amongst those front two. And Max Cookson's caught up with Sean Butler.
Max bringing it home P3 today. Nearly got it done, as Blake mentioned. The seas parted for you. Just maybe needed a couple hundred more feet to get there. Describe those crazy last couple of laps from your point of view.
Well, there was that incident with Alex and Parker there, and I ended up tearing the right front off the thing and just lost all the center turn there, and had that restart, and Alex cleared me on the top, and him and Cody raced it out, and there was a brief moment off four there where I thought I had a shot, but I mean just tried to ride and save, and was doing a good job of it, and just ended up getting caught up in something, and kind of took my shot away at it.
Yeah, but the 39 still looks fairly clean given the amount of time you're up front pretty much the whole way. But we heard Alex McCollum mention that he was kind of getting concerned about fuel in the last part of the race. Did you keep an eye on that fuel gauge as we were going on? And what strategy were you thinking of applying if this thing did need to be refilled later on?
Yeah, I mean, I knew if we saved under the yellows and kind of managed it, that we'd be all right. But just try to manage the tires and manage the fuel.
Definitely. You did a great job of it, though, throughout the whole race. Did a great job of avoiding all the carnage behind you, that's for sure. A couple more questions here for you. So do you think you might have had anything for those two guys at the end? Do you think you saved just enough, or are you just happy to bring it home in third from that?
Well, I think if I didn't get that right front damage, yeah, I might have had something for him, but that just really killed it. We're all so close on a fixed setup, and you saw me and Alex, they would check out a good amount. We were just riding, trying to keep some tire on it, and started to go there and got caught up in that mess, and just unfortunate.
Yeah, but still, third place is still a great finisher for you. Congratulations on that, bringing it home on the podium for this race. Before I let you go, Wendy, would you like to shout out or give thanks to for your performance tonight?
Yeah, just a big thanks to Kajman over at Splash & Go Graphics, Greg Emerson over at Night Owl Designs, and just Landon for putting this deal on. These races are cool. We like them. These short track races, they're a lot of fun. This one, first time he did one, it was a little rough, but he'll work the bugs out of it. But yeah, just a fun race.
Absolutely. Nothing to hang your head on whatsoever. Max, congratulations on your third place finish. Excellent job all race. And I think we will send it back to Jacob here. Jacob?
Thank you, Sean Butler. Man, oh man, started to decompress from the finish of that one. And as we look down the order and get set to wrap it all up, we'll bring in one more driver to chat with who was not necessarily, didn't necessarily get the finish that he wanted as we look down the order. But if you're Landon Huffman, Man, I can't help but think that this, all in all, has to be considered a successful day. Certainly ended up in the short track shootout that we all wanted. What a feature. I mean, it had storylines, it had drama, and you can't ask for any more than that last turns 3 and 4 to the checkered flag.
No, it was a really, really good race. Very proud of the effort of everyone, our admin team, you guys in the broadcast booth, all the drivers. There was some heated moments during the feature, but overall, I felt like that was a typical Saturday night 150 lap late model feature. So, had some green flag racing and a badass finish. So, nonetheless, a good event, a good first event. I'm excited to do this again. We learned a lot from our format. Those of you that are watching that participated and weren't very happy with the format, we're definitely working on that for the future. And thank you to all of our competitors, everyone that did sign up and race. Hopefully, you enjoyed being able to partake, and if there's anything we can do differently, please let us know, because we're all ears to make the next one even bigger and better. No, I think that was awesome. I got impaled by a water barrel. So, that was okay, I guess. But I'll run it through our sponsors real quick. Just thank you to Dexter's Detailing for being the title sponsor of this deal. Southern National Motorsports Park, Mike Diaz and all the guys over there. Providing an awesome trophy for us. Congratulations to Alex McCollum on the win. Cody Kelly, I think, ended up making a good chunk of change anyways, even though he didn't lead the last lap. So congratulations to him on a solid race too. Dave's Truck Parts, Leaf Off Racing, Drigger's Small Engine Company for sponsoring our pole award, MPM Marketing, Tanya and her crew do an excellent job helping young drivers enter the racing world and make sure their marketing programs are on tap. Timmy17, twitch.tv/Timmy17, that's Tim Tripler, and the DFEA guys, Boatman_IRL, Kyle Herlitsky, his Twitch channel, Newsom Family Racing, Speed Nut Apparel and the Ludwigs, Pit Road TV, Tony Stevens, those guys, McConaughey Setup Shop, Overton Speed Shop, Steel Force Lot, Mr. Jonathan Cattell, Derek Peoples Motorsports, Short Track Race Razzles, and Blue Line Billy. Thank you all for supporting this event. A lot of fun, very stressful, but a lot of fun nonetheless. So thank you guys.
We appreciate it, Landon, and certainly congratulations on the event. Before we cut you loose, and I feel bad putting you on the spot, but can you give us any hints or tips on what's next in the form of a similar special event like this, or is that one of those where you go back, sit down, look at it, and you'll fill the fans in a little bit later on what's maybe to come?
I would say we're looking at December, potentially doing another one. There are a couple of big special events already in December, so if we can figure out a weekend, we just want to have enough time to plan and give everybody enough heads up to where we can have a good turnout again and promote it appropriately. But hoping for December to possibly do one. If it works out around Christmas and that type of thing, we'll put up some posts and see what the response is from the community and see what everybody's interested in. But if not in December, 100% in January we will have an event. Most likely we'll use the super late models again, but might have to throw in the 87 car in there at some point in time, but we'll just have to see.
We appreciate it. That is Landon Huffman, the proprietor from Windshield Deep. Does not get the finish that he wants today, but certainly a very successful event nevertheless. As we come back to the studio and get ready to wrap this one up, Blake McCandless, I'll go to you first. Wild 2 days of racing, wild finish, and I would argue, if nothing else, a very deserving winner. Had to go up and earn it, and Alex McCollum did just that.
Well, you're exactly right. I think this is what we all wanted and expected, and this is why the fans pay the price of admission back at the gate to see racing like this all the way throughout the field. Great battles going on the whole race, and obviously when it mattered and when it was late, you saw the guys beating and banging for the win. Just classic short track racing. So I think I'll go home happy with that. But really, just the last couple of days, insane to think about the amount of drivers coming out for tonight. and last night as well, to go out and do this. Crazy to think how quickly it all came together. And, I think everybody's got to be pleased with the result. Really excited to see how this format and what have you improves and continues to build in the future. And Windshield Deep, they'll have a couple of things thrown our way here very soon. So looking forward to that as well. But yeah, great race by Cody Kelly, and obviously our winner, Alex McCollum, did what he needed to do to get it done. And that's what you love to see at short track racing.
Takeaways, final thoughts, Sean Butler?
I can again echo what Blake said. I mean, we saw some great racing today, great side-by-side action, 3 wide at sub points, and you got to give a call to these guys. I mean, I don't want to mention this, but a complete 180 from last night. We saw a bunch of green flag runs, a lot of beating and banging, but for the most part, short track but clean racing, and again, an exciting finish to boot. So I think the fans definitely got their money's worth for this, and I just hope all the drivers had a great time, and we all had a great time broadcasting this as well. Just a lot of excitement start to finish in this one, and a big congratulations to Alex McCollum and everyone involved really in this race for a heck of a show.
It was a heck of a show, and you almost hate for it to be over. We mentioned it got over pretty quickly. I think I could maybe go again for another 150 laps, but alas, we don't have that. So one more time, we'll say congratulations to Alex McCollum on his win in the inaugural Windshield Deep Dexter's Detailing eThanksgiving Classic, presented by Dave's Truck Parts from the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. And with that, it is time to wrap it up. So for Landon Huffman, Dylan Wilson, all the folks at Windshield Deep, for the crew up in race control, of course, for my broadcast partners Blake McCandless and Sean Butler, and Ryan Bauer down in the production trailer. My name is Jacob Seelman. Special thanks to Mike Diaz, Mason Diaz, all the folks at SNMP for what they put in to help make this show possible. And for more information, keep it tuned to the Windshield Deep social media channels. And as Landon said, they'll have more on potential future special events coming up in the not too distant future. That's all from Southern National and the inaugural eThanksgiving Classic. Alex McCollum, your winner. Keep it off the wall, and we'll see you when we see you, folks. Till we meet again.